Bek Lover.
And this is your host, Bek Lover. And you're watching Interesting Times exclusively here on the Bek Lover Podcast, where you just might learn a thing or two about life. I was away this weekend. I was down deep in the heart of Texas. I was down in Dallas. I was out there meeting with the Albanian American community, and so much happened on the weekend. I would have loved to have been in the studio and commented on everything that happened at the Olympics and the Last Supper debacle, and there's just so much going on. And if you want an interesting, fun, crazy show that gives you all the headlines around the world, I do all the homework for you. Literally around the world, I search through hundreds of news stories and I hand select the ones that I think are interesting, you should know about. And today's episode, we're going to cover what happened at the Olympics. Jennifer Aniston was attacked. World War III is pretty much guaranteed if we remain on the course that we're in. I actually think it already started. I've been predicting it for pretty much since the Ukraine war and everything that's starting out in Gaza, and things are about to get really, really real, really, really soon. Right before the most important election in the world in recent times and modern history, right here in the USA. So make sure you stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, and let's get down to it, my friends. Interesting times. Interesting times indeed, my friends. We're going to start with a funny story, and then we're going to get into all the miserable shit that's going on around the world. The first story takes us to one of the women that a lot of us fantasized about when we were younger, when the hit TV show Friends was airing, and she didn't have such a good day. Today, the left side of the world finally caught up to her. It's always funny when people in Hollywood get attacked by the liberals. Jennifer Aniston doused in fake oil on morning show. Protest scene a-coming. She looks miserable. Jennifer Aniston filming some new scenes for the upcoming season of the morning show, smack in the middle of a climate change protest, and it's getting messy. I mean, as you can see from this other shot, I mean, she's literally surrounded by a lot of people, and there's someone holding a sign that says, F fossil fuels, and someone just throws all this black oil-type looking liquid. It probably looks like black paint, and she looks in this shot here like she's just completely horrified. I'll be there for you. I'll be there. Well, there was no one there to protect her from this happening. And let's go to the instant replay of the real footage of Jennifer Aniston getting destroyed by climate activists. I'm sure she might think twice about that private jet, but she's not going to want to ride with the rest of the people on planes because she's scared they might do something like this again to her. So let's play the video and let me know what you guys think. Here we go. Here's Jennifer Aniston. Has fake oil thrown on her while filming the morning show. It was like at least 1.5 gallons of liquid. Like, I mean, they covered her. Like, look at her face. She just looks, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I'm Jennifer Aniston. Look at me, I'm covered, you motherfucker. That's what her face is telling us. I mean, look at her. She's pissed. And now to what everyone was talking about while I was away, and I was offended, even though I am not a Christian. I do believe in Jesus Christ. I believe he existed. This is why I try to tell my Christian brothers and sisters, like, you shouldn't be making pictures or images or statues. The 10 Commandments told, we were commanded way before Jesus, don't make pictures, don't make statues. You know, you kind of break the commandments and then you put your God at risk, because if you have an image of Jesus Christ, people can play with it, where people dress up like Jesus and do disgusting jokes and pranks. And if he is God, that is blasphemy. Unfortunately, during the world's games, the Olympics, the Christian community should be outraged, okay? I, as a Muslim, I'm outraged because I love Jesus Christ. I believe he's the Messiah. I believe that he'll come back towards the end of time. And that's not what my show is about, you know, even though I do talk a lot about religious strife and I try to bring communities together. This is also something that Muslims and Christians, I believe, should be on the same page about. No one's religion should be mocked. No one should be offended. no more than a Muslim would like someone just even making a picture of the Prophet Muhammad. And people got riled up about that, and there was revenge attacks. And I mean, this stuff is very sensitive. People take their faith very seriously. Unfortunately, the mainstream media, the Olympic Committee, and these French artists did not worry about 2 billion people's feelings when they clearly mocked the Last Supper, which is a very important moment in Christian history. We know the famous painting. And when you look at the comparison of the two, clearly that's what they were going for. And we know this because CNN reports that the organizers apologize after the church groups criticized alleged Last Supper parody during the opening ceremony. The scene featured drag artists, right, and dancers, was widely criticized by the Catholic Church and Christian groups. The French Catholic Church said the festivities included scenes of derision and mockery of Christianity, and I agree. I completely agree. There was clearly never an intention to show disrespect to any religious group, Paris 2024 spokesperson Anne Descamps told the news conference on Sunday. On the contrary, I think we tried to celebrate community tolerance. We believe this ambition was achieved. If people have taken any offense, we're of course really sorry. No, that doesn't create unity. You see, the LGBTQ community, they get offended for like almost everything, and they get really angry if anyone makes fun of them or bullies them or mocks them. They can become very violent, very vocal. They can protest. I know of businesses in New York City that just held fundraisers against grooming children, and they showed up and protested in front of the place, and they weren't even protesting against their lifestyle choice. You see, what a lot of you don't understand or maybe forget is that a world religion is a lifestyle choice. And I find it ironic when a very small group, compared to the majority of people in this world, that's Christians, Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, people that, believe more towards that type of lifestyle, they don't want to be mocked. They don't want to be bullied. They don't want to be treated badly. And they did for a very long time, even here in the United States of America. No one's denying that. But this is not how you gain support for your cause. This just breeds more hatred towards you, creates more division, and makes people that are Christian really rethink if they support your right to do what you want to do, and makes them hate your guts. But when it's done to you, you don't like it. And now, I don't think it's fair to say that the entire LGBTQ community agreed with this, or, this is done. You can blame the French here. You can blame the French Olympics. You can't blame that entire community. You can blame the artist that partook in it. You can blame the person that came up with the idea. So I just want to be clear that I don't want to group that entire community and blame them for this. What I'm trying to say in essence is, what you claim you want, you can't do back to others. And this is the biggest problem we are all having, whether you're religious, not religious, Christian, Muslim, Jew, Christian, Buddhist, atheist. We have no respect for each other. We have to stick up for everyone. And like I said, I took offense to this. I hate seeing mockery of Jesus Christ. It is not okay for anyone to mock a world faith, the largest faith, or soon to be tied to be the largest faith in the world, because Islam's right there. And I stand with the Christian community. I took great offense to this. It was uncalled for. It is not right to pick on the Christian lifestyle when you, as a LGBTQ, want your lifestyle respected. So these are lifestyles, right? You can't put preference over one lifestyle over another if you're being fair, right? That's reverse hatred, reverse persecution. So if we're going to give everyone their rights, then they must be held to the same standard in these Western democracies. Very simple. Islam is a life choice. Christianity is a life choice. Being gay or straight is a lifestyle choice, right? And to have these lifestyles mocked one way or the other is not fair, and it's hypocritical. And again, to go back to that picture, I mean, it's pretty clear what they were trying to do, and it seems like they've already admitted that that's what it was, and that's why they issued an apology. Now let's go to World War III on many fronts. The Eurasian Times: China warns nuclear counterstrike on U.S. military bases in Japan via its state media, lambast revamp move. In a sweeping effort to modernize their partnership and increasing security threats in Asia, the U.S. and Japan have announced plans to revamp the U.S. command in Japan, a decision that Chinese have predictably and strongly criticized. As part of a major move to counter what the allies view as China becoming more assertive, the defense chiefs and top diplomats of the two nations announced on July 28 that the United States will restructure its command in Japan, giving it a direct leadership role over American forces and operational planning during both peacetime and potential crisis. China doesn't like that. Okay? So that's heating up, right? And I think inevitably the U.S. and China will go to war one day. I truly believe it. And America's in a very bad position when that happens because everything's made in China. China. Because our leaders here didn't protect us with tariffs. They allowed their cheap labor, which is basically slavery, and they use slaves like the Uyghurs. They are making other human beings suffer to make those products, working in sweatshops and all kinds of shit, and that's why things in China are so cheap. So you can thank especially Bill Clinton for that when he allowed them into the World Trade Organization. Continuing on the World War III discussion, Putin warns U.S. against deploying long-range missiles in Germany. This is reported by The Guardian. Russian leaders say Washington risks triggering Cold War-style missile crisis and promises to respond in kind. Vladimir Putin has warned the U.S. that if Washington deploys long-range missiles in Germany from 2026, Russia will station similar missiles within striking distance of the West. The U.S. would start deploying long-range fire capabilities in Germany in 2026 in an effort to demonstrate its commitment to NATO and European defense. The U.S. episodic deployments are in preparation for longer-term stationing of such capabilities that will include SM like Mary 6 and Tomahawk cruise missiles and development hypersonic weapons that have a longer range than current capabilities in Europe. In a speech on Sunday to sailors from Russia, China, Algeria, and India, many of them BRICS nations. If you don't know what BRICS is, you better get ready because that dollar is going bye-bye soon, I promise you. You better use it while they have any value. With inflation going the way it is and the way we're printing money, that dollar, my friends, is days are limited. It will be worth the same as toilet paper that you use to wipe your ass with if we continue on this Titanic towards the iceberg of destruction that is our nation. Guaranteed. Putin said the U.S. was stoking tensions and had transferred Typhoon missile systems to Denmark and the Philippines and compared the U.S. plans to the NATO decision to deploy Pershing II launchers in Western Europe in 1979. The Russian president repeated an earlier warning that Moscow could resume production of intermediate and shorter-range nuclear-capable missiles and then consider where to deploy them if the U.S. brought similar missiles to Europe and Asia. Russia's in a war with Ukraine. We go to the next article. Ukraine military intelligence claims role in deadly Wagner ambush in Mali. Malian rebels received necessary information to kill fighters from Russia military group last week, GUR says. Ukraine's military intelligence agency has claimed it was involved in the ambush that killed fighters from Russia's Wagner group in Western Africa nation of Mali, thousands of miles away from the front line in Ukraine. So imagine like this Ukrainian war is like, it's just everywhere now. Like Mali is just expanding, you know? The Mali government, which has been fighting various insurgencies in the north of the country for more than a decade, requested help from the Wagner after a military junta took power in 2020. In May last year, the U.S. imposed sanctions on the head of Wagner in Mali, accusing the group of using its operation there as a conduit for military equipment for the war in Ukraine. The Kiev Post on Monday published a photograph it said showed Malian rebels holding a Ukrainian flag, which it said had been authenticated by a defense source in Kiev. It was not possible to verify the image independently. Ukrainian forces are believed to be active in Sudan, another place where Wagner troops have been heavily involved in fighting, and a further sign that Kiev's fight with Moscow has taken on a global dimension. You bet your ass it has. The Wagner group was set up by Yevgeny Prigozhin. I hope I said that correctly. You could read it on the screen if you're watching. An old acquaintance of Vladimir Putin, who built up the fighting force as a way for Moscow to intervene in conflicts without official use of the Russian military. The war in Ukraine is far from over, my friends. Over the weekend, there was a horrible bomb that hit inside of Israel. It killed, I believe, 12 children in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. Israel and the U.S. have blamed Hezbollah for the rocket strike, though the group has denied responsibility. The focus of the high-speed diplomacy has been to constrain Israel's response because basically I've been saying it here for months, guys. I said it before they started hitting targets inside of Lebanon's border. This may have been a response from Hezbollah. We know the Houthis are in Yemen. They're blowing up ships. Israel struck them last week. I told you on October 7th, I guarantee you on my life that this war will expand dramatically. Now, it's been almost a year, and it could be a lot worse, but it looks like it's really starting to boil because now Turkey, reported today, threatens to enter Israel to protect the Palestinians. Now, Turkey is not a small country, and they're in NATO. This conflict has the potential to upheave the entire world. It really does. Turkey must be very strong so that Israel can't do these ridiculous things to Palestine, the president said. Turkey's leader is threatening to send the NATO heavyweight troops into Israel to intervene on behalf of Palestinians in an escalation of rhetoric that raises fear of a wider regional conflict. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan told a meeting of his ruling Justice and Development Party in the northeastern city of Riz on the Black Sea that Turkey must be very strong so that Israel can't do these ridiculous things to Palestine. Just like we entered Karabakh, just like we entered Libya, we will do something similar exactly to them, Erdogan said. Erdogan often makes rhetorical flourishes to appeal to his core Islamist support base, but Turkey is also a significant military player with NATO's second biggest military, and he has been willing to make major interventions in the region, including in Syria and Iraq. Okay, if Turkey enters this war, my friends, you're officially in World War III. No doubt about it. Lebanon, Beirut flights canceled or delayed amid fears of an Israeli attack. So they're already rerouting flights and canceling them. Back to Ukraine, we're going to send more money there because we haven't sent enough. Us Americans are dying from inflation, so we'll keep printing. So just remember, every bullet that's fired in Ukraine or Israel right now, from the money we've provided them, is making your loaf of bread more expensive. How you guys doing at the grocery store, Americans? Are you tired of 25 years of nonstop war that even when our soldiers are not involved, we're still paying for it? Do you feel good when you send your taxes in every year? Are you getting anything back? Because I feel like an American during the times of the colonies when the British would just take our money and do whatever the fuck they wanted with it. And we're getting nothing for it. How do you feel, guys? You feel good about another $1.7 billion fucking dollars going to destruction when nothing is used for construction here in the United States of America? My property taxes are through the roof. Tolls are through the roof. Tax on the money we make and then on the things that we buy. Tax on money if you give it to family and friends. Tax, 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 tax for this fucking shit. Destruction. You feeling good? You feel good, America? Huh? You feeling bright about the future? Because I don't think we're going to be here much longer, man. I really don't. Now, this drove me mad to watch this video. Completely uncalled for. It's things like this that set our country on fire when we're already divided and galvanized and everyone's like really on DEFCON 4. This incident involving police and the shooting of Sonia Massie, who called them for help, is just beyond. There's no words for this. Like, it's just, there's no words. I don't know. There's no way to defend the police in this situation, except this cop is an idiot and a lowlife, and I really wonder why he did what he did. Springfield, Illinois, Sonia Massie ducked and apologized to an Illinois sheriff's deputy seconds before he shot the black woman 3 times in her own home. I saw the video, and I can't believe it. I cannot believe how Sonia Massie lost her life. At a time when this nation is divided, and police and civilians are divided because of everything that happened with George Floyd all the way till now, it's like, this is the last thing we needed. The video confirmed prosecutors' earlier account of the tense moment when Grayson yelled from across a counter. His name is Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson. Okay, he's been indicted for what he did. Authorities said Massie, 36, had called 911 earlier to report a suspected prowler. The video shows the 2 deputies responded just before 1 a.m. on July 6 at her home, 200 miles southwest of Chicago. They first walked around the house and found a black SUV with broken windows in the driveway. It took Massie 3 minutes to open the door after the deputies knocked, and she immediately said, "Don't hurt me." She seemed confused as they spoke at the door. She repeated that she needed help referenced God and told him she didn't know who owned the car. Inside the house, deputies seemed exasperated as she sat on her couch and went through her purse. They asked for identification. Then Grayson pointed out a pot sitting on the flame on the stove. We don't need a fire while we're here. Massie immediately got up and went to the stove, moving the pot near a sink. She and Grayson seemed to share a laugh over her pan of steaming hot water before she unexpectedly said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. You better not, or I swear to God, I'll shoot you in your... And I heard the video. He says, I'll shoot you in your face. She's holding a pot, okay? I understand there's boiling water in there, but it's not force for force. And he's clearly far enough. He has a firearm. This woman shouldn't be dead. This sounds like a mental health issue. She called them for help, and she died for calling them. So this has definitely divided the nation. Not a good thing. Here locally in the tri-state area, woman was killed by police in Fort Lee, New Jersey. Fort Lee is where the former Governor Christie, he had the whole bridge scandal because he was using the bridge as a weapon to create traffic in Fort Lee against the mayor of Fort Lee at that time. And, well, in that town, which is also where the Revolutionary War was fought, which is why it's called Fort Lee and the George Washington Bridge, a woman was killed when they called police to come check on her. You don't have too many details there. We know she was holding a knife. The police opened the door, then closed it, and then opened it again. There was 2 women in there, and she died 30 minutes later in Inglewood Hospital in New Jersey. Here's a video clip of dragonflies storming the beach in Rhode Island. I mean, they're just going all out. People on the beach are like taking cover. It's like millions and millions and millions of dragonflies. It looks like a scene out of the Ten Commandments when the locust, took over Pharaoh's city. And it's real. Because you imagine you're at the beach and then all of a sudden it's just fireflies everywhere. Insane. Venezuela is also on fire once again. Thousands of demonstrators took to the streets of Venezuela on Monday to protest what they said was an attempt by President Nicolas Maduro to steal the country's disputed election a day after the political opposition and the entrenched incumbent both claimed victory. Shortly after, the National Electoral Council, which is loyal to Maduro's ruling party, announced that they had won a third 6-year term, angry protesters began marching through the capital cities across Venezuela. Now, for those of you that don't remember, they were once one of the most wealthiest nations in the world, and they went towards socialism and communism, and now they have a dictator named Maduro, and they became very hungry, and their economy collapsed, and they were literally eating dogs at one point. I'm pretty sure this guy did not win the election. I'm pretty sure. So you can expect a lot of unrest out of that nation, and hopefully not a lot of innocent people pass away. Maybe this will spark an overthrow of the whole government. I don't know, but it's just like, it seems like no one can have peace anymore anywhere in the world. Good news. Let's give you some good news. There's divers off Texas coast lost at sea for 36 hours. They were rescued by the Coast Guard. You know how crazy it is to be out? It's like one of my biggest fears. I've never gone on a cruise ship. I never will go on a cruise ship. I'll never go on a boat that goes less than a mile away from the water. Make the story short, these 2 divers were last seen on the surface on favorable weather conditions. The divers were not seen again once the conditions cleared. Emergency rescuers deployed a helicopter, aircraft, and boat to search for the divers. The U.S. Coast Guard searched 1,656 square miles over a period of 36 hours. Shortly after, the air crew spotted a flashing light in the water while searching and found the divers. They are lucky to be alive and not eaten by something bigger than them in the ocean. Vice President Harris, Kamala, urges Americans to vote after 6-week abortion ban takes effect in Iowa. This is definitely one of the biggest voting points besides all the wars, besides the First Amendment, Second Amendment, all these different things. And she's trying to rally people against Trump, saying that he's going to, abort abortion, basically. And I guess it's one of the attempts of the left to try to rally as many women and pro-choice voters to remind them, even though everything else is a disaster. Biden is trying to change the Supreme Court, propose sweeping changes to the U.S. Supreme Court, including term limits and a binding code of conduct for its 9 justices, but opposition from Republicans in Congress means the proposals have little chance of enactment. It just seems like whenever they lose somewhere, like they're mad that there's a conservative majority, they want to change the rules so they can flip it their way. Like when are people going to wake up? Like, this is not like if it just does not make sense. Okay. Another thing that doesn't make sense is that anyone eats McDonald's. I haven't ate McDonald's in over a year and a half. Okay. I do miss the taste of a Big Mac. I've lost 80 pounds. It's not because I stopped eating McDonald's. It's because I stopped eating really bad, stopped eating carbs. But let's be real. This food is not good for you. Okay. And inflation has caught up with McDonald's. That's the reason why a lot of people eat McDonald's. It's cheap. You know, used to get 2 for $5, 2 for $3, two Whoppers for $7, and right? But even fast food has become very expensive compared to what it was. So less and less people can really afford it, which is crazy when you think about it, right? Inflation has caught up with McDonald's. This is reported by CNN, and budget-conscious Americans are looking elsewhere for their fast food fix. But McDonald's believes it has a solution. Value meals. Really? Well, McDonald's on Monday reported that sales at U.S. stores open at least a year fell 0.7% last quarter from the same period a year earlier, dragged down by fewer customers going to the fast food company's restaurants. McDonald's isn't alone. Starbucks, Burger King, Wendy's, and all other rivals are also reporting less foot traffic and lower. I've been going to a couple of these places. Like, I walked into Taco Bell, like, empty, man. People are broke. I came back from Texas, man. Like, everywhere I've been going, like, I notice there's, like, less and less people spending money. People are broke. I know what we should do. We should keep sending billions of dollars to Ukraine and Israel. Billions. We should spend billions on people that came over our border illegally. We should put them in 5-star hotels in New York, because that's what they're doing. We should put a toll on New Yorkers to stay from one part of Manhattan to the next. We should tax you on the money you make, the money you spend, the money you leave your family, the house that you paid off. You pay $20,000, $30,000 a year to them. We should keep giving them all of our money, and you guys get nothing. And you can't even afford McDonald's anymore. The inflation is so crazy that even McDonald's is reporting record losses because people can't afford to even buy a Big Mac anymore. We should send more money to the wars overseas, leave the people in Flint, Michigan without clean water, potholes everywhere. That's going to work. That's what we should do. Yeah, we should support this. But they want you on welfare. They want to make it where you can't afford a Big Mac. You can't afford to eat. So now they've enslaved you in a welfare system, which is basically a sidestep to communism. So you'll take a universal income and be happy with it, and you will own nothing and be happy. You will pay a subscription fee for everything you own, including your car. Remember these podcasts when they put me up against the wall, if they win and take power, and exterminate any opposition they ever had or ever think they could have, because that's what commies do. Good news is if you have Alzheimer's in your family, I don't know if it's good news because it's not a cure, but Alzheimer's blood test detects disease with 90% accuracy in routine doctor's appointments. Primary care doctors' accuracies in identifying the disease was only 61%. A simple blood test has shown to detect Alzheimer's disease in a routine healthcare settings with up to 90% accuracy, according to Swedish researchers. The findings were presented at the Alzheimer's Association International Conference in Philadelphia on Sunday. So check into that if you have a history of that in your family or you're scared you might be getting it. And the last term here, the last news article of this short and sweet episode of Interesting Times with Bek Lover. That's why you're going to subscribe right now. Short-term vegan diet may slow aging. Questions remain. A small trial in identical twins has shown that going vegan for 2 months may slow aging, but the findings should be interpreted cautiously. So eat less meat, age less, supposedly is what this article is telling us. Folks, we live in an interesting world. I'll do my best to keep bringing you the most interesting stuff so you don't have to scroll through all the nonsense of the internet. You make sure you stay tuned here with your boy Bek Lover, and I will continue to give you the best of the best. I love you. I thank you for your support. We're going to keep expanding. We're going to keep doing what we're doing here on the Bek Lover Podcast. We're going to be relaunching the Comeback Team, where I bring you the most interesting people in the world, their stories of how they've overcome adversity, been through hell and back. But I'm always going to do this daily podcast because I just fucking love it, and I fucking love you. And this is Bek Lover, and I'll see you next time on the Interesting Times Podcast on the Bek Lover Podcast. Till the next time.